everyone, we are from the SIS-3B students of Carlos Silado Memorial State College. I am Anne-Marie Barata, the reporter of the assigned topic.
And I am Stephanie Bansalit, the reactor to the report.
The topic that is assigned for us to be discussed is understanding business risk. So in this topic, we will determine what are the risks a business may encounter and how can we be able to manage those risks. But first, what is a business risk? Business risk is the exposure of company or organization has factors that will lower its profits or lead it to fail. Anything that threatens a company's ability to achieve its financial goals is considered a business risk. So there are many factors that converge to create business risks. Risks with S, because it is possible that a company will encounter a lot of risks during the process. So dapat prepared man ang mga businessmen para i-face ang fact that risks are always there. Risks. Well, it depends. Sometimes it is a company's top leadership or management that creates situations where a business may be exposed to a greater degree of risk. Now, I will let you know what are these risks that a company or a business might encounter. So there are types of business risks. What are these? First, the strategic risk. Second, compliance risk. Third, operational risk. And lastly is the reputational risk. What is a strategic risk? Strategic risk arises when a business does not operate accordingly to its business model or plan. So when a company does not operate accordingly to its business model, to the company's plan, schedule, procedures, it might actually affect the process and the strategy itself becomes less effective over time and it may struggle to reach its defined goals. Next, compliance risk. Compliance risk primarily arises in industries and sectors that are highly regulated. So compliance risk arises when a brand fails to understand the individual requirements of the state that it is operating within. It is an organization's potential exposure to legal penalties and material loss resulting from its failure to act in accordance with industry laws and regulations. Compliance risk is also known as integrity risk. Third, operational risk. This risk arises from within the corporation, especially when the day-to-day operations of a company fail to perform. So, operational risk is the prospect of loss resulting from inadequate or failed procedures, systems or policies such as employee errors, system failures, fraud, or other criminal activities. Any event that disrupts business processes is considered as operational risk. And lastly, reputational risk. Reputational risk can take the form of a major lawsuit, an embarrassing product recall, negative publicity about you or your staff, or high-profile criticism of your products or services. So, anytime a company's reputation can be ruined. It's either by an event that was the result of a previous business risk or by a different occurrence. It runs the risk of lost customers and its brand loyalty suffering. Business reputation is everything. So if your reputation or the business reputation is damaged, you'll see an immediate loss of revenue as customers become wary of doing business with you. Basic methods for risk management. If there are types of business risk, there must be a solution to that so that a company can maintain their business operations. So now I will discuss to you what are these basic methods for risk management. First is the avoidance, retention, sharing, and loss prevention and reduction. Avoidance. It is a method for mitigating risk by not participating in activities that may incur injury, sickness, or death. So, in relation sa mga ginhimo sa ibang nga tao, I can say that smoking cigarettes is one example of activities that should be avoided because it may lessen both health and increase financial risk. So, if you smoke, you'll both lose money and your health will be also at risk. So, same with business, of course. Avoidance in the risk if a business knows what that particular thing or that particular plan can negatively affect the process, the business should avoid it. So, how can we be able to know that this particular plan should be avoided? Simple. Weigh things first. Before you do the decision, you should know first the advantage and disadvantages it may offer to the business. So if disadvantages is more than the advantages it can offer, then that's the time a business should be avoiding it. Avoidance. Retention. Retention is the acknowledgement and acceptance of a risk as a given. Usually, this accepted risk is a cost to help offset larger risks down the road. So, retention synonym is to recall, remembrance, or to remember, which means if a business accepted or knows already about the fact that risks are always there, they can be able to handle it. They can prepare alternative actions to prevent failure on the process. So businessmen should put in their mind the possibility of facing risks in business processes. Third, sharing. This risk can be defined as sharing with another party the burden of loss or the benefit of gain from a risk and the measure to reduce a risk. So sharing in this essence, this shares the risk with the company and all employees participating in the insurance benefits. So both parties will share both advantage and disadvantages at the same time of the outcome. So basically, risk sharing involves partnering with others to share responsibility for the risk activities. And lastly, loss prevention and reduction. This method of risk management attempts to minimize the loss rather than completely eliminate it. So prevention promotes avoidance of losses. Loss prevention. Reduction limits the extent of losses. Loss reduction. So let's say the business is now facing the risk. So how can we able to prevent losing or reducing it? While accepting the risk, it stays focused on keeping the loss contained and preventing it from spreading. So how can we prevent it from spreading? By applying the strategies that can help the business, such as doing alternative actions. And that ends my presentation.
Now that the report is done, we will now move to the question and answer portion. So as part of the given task, as a reactor, I will be giving a question to be answered. My first question is, you have mentioned 4 types of business risk. So how it is important and why?
So there is no business without risk. Expected na giniya sa may mga business nga may atubang gina sila nga risk, may face gina sila nga mga challenges. But the key to any business is understanding the importance of preventing, minimizing, or eliminating risk whenever possible in order to prevent losses. So risk management is important because it allows a business to control and oftentimes prevent the financial, political, social, and cultural associated with risk. So not only does risk management allow a business to identify potential risk ahead of a business to react accordingly and minimize or even prevent losses.
I got it. My next question will be, with the current situation of our country, what do you think are the most common risks that the businesses may encounter?
For me, the most common risk that a business may face, strategic risk. Because since at the present, human wants may change or shift from the most essential to survive aside from food. And operational risk. With the present COVID-19 pandemic, many lives were affected, especially laborers and workers. So it's one of the risks that business or companies may encounter in terms of its day-to-day operation. Pagtas ang natabo sa pag-ECQ kag GCQ, target outputs were greatly affected due to lack of workers or operators to perform the day-to-day operations.
Okay, and my last question for you is, can business risk be avoided?
No. For me, no. Business risk cannot be avoided because it is unpredictable. No one knows what will happen tomorrow, but with a very good risk management plan, we can adopt to deal with the obstacles of any risk. That's all.
Thank you so much for your answers. Now I'm done with my questions. And this ends our question and answer portion.
Thank you
Thank you for watching.